welcome to episode 5 of the Anibros podcast. You,
5? I could have sworn we'd done more of these.
we do them, yeah, pretty often, surprisingly, which I'm happy about. I know, like, afterwards I'm usually, like, pretty angry, but, like, I do have fun with them.
I enjoy them. Yeah.
Do
Well,
you,
I
do you
need to.
feel, like, therapeutic about yelling?
Uh,
Let out some of that aggression?
I enjoy having takes put out there. It's always anyone knows that you can bait me into talking about anything for any amount of time if you just
There
bring.
is something really enjoyable about like putting out a take. There is also something really aggravating about putting out a take and then someone disagreeing with it. So I say there's potentially more downsides than upsides to this
No,
series.
I ran into someone earlier this week who like just couldn't comprehend that literally everyone else had a different take than them, and since
Hmm.
having unique takes is kind of my bread and butter. I was trying to advise them a bit. I'm kind of like, you're allowed to have a different take than everyone else, but then you also can't be invalidating everyone else's. Like, reads of media, like everyone talks about how media is subjective, but I'm kind of like, it's not like a hard or difficult thing to actually dig down to why people have their own perspectives.
Well, I think it can just be like really infuriating. By the way, this episode, if you've seen the title, you already know it has nothing to do with anime, so this is kind of
Oh,
a weird meandering point. But I do think it's kind of like there is a sort of like when you have an opinion, right? And
mhm.
someone you respect also has that opinion, it validates you, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
You're
I mean,
like, oh yeah, we can see eye to eye, and like I know that I'm like I can be more confident in my read because people I respect have it, right?
yeah,
If
you
like
know. With,
if you're in like a super subjective space, that doesn't really matter. Like if you're like, oh man, who's best girl? That's like no one really cares if you have different best girls, right? It's whatever. But when it comes to like larger takes, like, oh, is Star Wars good or something like that, then it's like if you don't have the same take as someone, then you can really like clash in like an intense way. And I'm not entirely sure what to attribute that to other than like wanting your opinion validated. I'd like to think there's more to it than that, but that's like the main thing that comes to mind.
I think when it comes to the internet, like, anonymity is such a big thing that like it sort of it breeds a certain perspective on, takes and stuff. So what ends up happening in my experience, and I'm definitely not like innocent of this tendency, is that people tend to be highly opinionated.
Hmm.
Is like when you have a strong opinion, that sort of just seems more credible, and it just gives you more validity.
I'd
At least,
also say it's more fun to think
tendency.
about the posts when you send out a tweet or something when you have like a
Yeah.
big take, isn't it?
Yeah, you want to be you want to yeah, I would say it's just fun to be
You could have for a second there. Speaking of anonymity, do you know what is the site? I don't know if this is like true necessarily, but can you think of a site that includes posting that might have the most anonymity out there?
4chan. I mean, it's not a competition, but that's 4chan.
Okay, 4chan's better than the one. Have you heard of Reddit?
Of course, what are you talking about?
Okay, have you heard of the subreddit called r slash am I the asshole?
Of course I have. You know, you hinted
I
at.
think you have an idea. I didn't tell you about what my idea was, but I think you can have an idea of what I'm going to ask you to do.
I'm not super opposed to this idea. I just want to say most of those posts are not real. I would venture to say almost all of them are not real.
You don't
So
think there's a lot of people who's out here like asking for legitimate advice or asking for like a review? Like there's
I
like
would say
other opinion based subreddits or magazines things.
I would say that even if they actually have any truth to life, they probably are manipulated enough to probably in favor of whoever's posting, or maybe against them, if only if because they just want to have like a very affecting post. Just a lot of it's not real, and
Sometimes
people
people like definitely for sure there are
sometimes
times
people
where
lie on the internet. Oh,
yeah,
as it turns out, lying on the internet is a thing people do.
I
They
think
just
for sure sometimes that is the case. I'm gonna tell you right now, even if it is, I'm just gonna act like there might
Okay,
be
yeah, no,
real.
okay. I just wanted to get that out there that like I mean, come on, guys. Like,
I
don't trust the things you read on the internet.
all
I'm not
right.
saying that things will always be false, but I just think
I really need a second monitor for
recognize
this.
when stuff is more likely to be bullshit than when it isn't. You know?
Oh God, is that even? Okay. Anyways,
Um.
I have something I need to send you.
Well, I'll see it whenever you send it. So.
All right, this is the first one, and I'll tell you straight. If we disagree on this one, I'm gonna have to like cut you off from being my brother.
Um. That you're saying that like that's a bad thing.
Oh no, don't be too excited now. Um, all right, but I what I'm saying is I would be shocked if we disagreed on this one.
Everwinter Rain. Okay, you're probably including
Dude,
these show notes and stuff, right? Yeah.
yeah. I'm recording my screen by the way. Do you want to go through it or should I?
Do you wanna read it? Because I wouldn't mind. I think that'd be easier for viewers if anyone's watching this. Because we
Am
still have.
I the asshole for refusing to let my wife name our daughter Ever Winter Rain? And for anyone who's just like listening, it's three words: Ever Winter and Rain. My wife, 35, and I, male 36, are expecting a daughter. We already have a 2-year-old son. We have an agreement that I got to name the first baby and she got to name the second. She didn't have any strong opinions or preferences with regards to naming her son, so I went with what I thought was a strong and somewhat unique name, but could easily be musician, lawyer, or doctor. Calvin Health is the name the man picked. Middle name is after a brother who passed away, and the wife was fine with it.
Can I stop you real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Do your bullshit centers not go off? Sensors not go off with this? I mean,
Listen, I just wanted an easy one for the first
okay,
one.
okay, that's fair.
I
Okay,
will
so yeah, from
confess
now on, I will
that
not be. I will try not to comment on the whether or not I think these are even real anymore.
I'll confess that
I won't.
anytime the woman is at fault in these man female situations, there's like a
They
part of
probably
me that like just like expects the story to be exaggerated or straight up fabricated.
misogyny on the internet? No way. I don't believe you.
Reddit, I notice, is like kind of bad about this
Yeah,
at
it's very.
times, but
Reddit is very
I
male
think
demographic.
this is like I can totally see this as like a legitimate situation. So I just like
Yeah,
benefit of
well,
the doubt.
I'm sure something about it got close, but I'm also just like you're not good at making up names if you're making up a name of a child and saying it's Calvin Heath.
You don't think Calvin Heath is a real name?
I mean, I'm sure it's a real name. It just sounds completely made up at when you're writing an internet post. You know,
Really?
I run into this sometimes where people are like, "Wait, so you don't think it's real?" And I'm like, "Whether or not it's real in real life is not the thing. This is something that's being written fictionally. It's not. It's not. It's a different criteria
I feel
from
like
whether or not it
Calvin,
is
I
real at
know at
all."
least one Calvin, and
Yeah,
so
this is what I'm
like,
saying. Something existing in real life doesn't mean it's not fictional. It's not being written as fiction.
all right,
They,
whatever.
yeah.
Anyways, the wife said that she wanted to name the daughter Ever Winter Rain, Ever being the first name, Winter Rain as a sort of combined middle name.
Uh,
The father goes through why he thinks this is a bad name. It's not fair to the daughter to name it her Ever because Ever is a word. I don't know what the Supreme Court's justice test is, but
wait, okay. For a second, I thought you meant it went to like Supreme Court or something.
yeah, I don't think it passes the Supreme Court justice test, is what is written in the post word for word. Don't know what the Supreme Court's justice test is. If you want to Google it, you
Can
can.
you imagine a Supreme Court justice named this? I guess something.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Court Judge Ever.
What?
It doesn't sound professional. It's confusing because it's a word I don't think it would suit her into adulthood. I suggested Winter as the first name. Okay, he's trying to compromise with a more normal middle name like Emma, so she has options, but the wife refused. Our agreement was that she got to pick the name. Am I the asshole for refusing to sign the birth certificate if she wants to name her Ever? So
Well,
that's the end of the post. How
what's your if you disagree with me, I will this whatever it's called if a brother says you're not
I,
longer
I I
family.
just feel like I think we would both be on the same page that okay, so the thing you're judging is this guy an asshole if he
Yeah,
refuses to sign the birth certificate? Yeah, you
yeah,
actually
yeah. I would
agree?
say so. He's I would say he's an asshole. Yeah. not that complicated. I mean, I would say I have caveats, but generally I would say you're still kind of a dick when you got to name the first one and then you're like
That is kind of like the kicker for
too
me
many
as well.
notes.
But like I am so firmly on the husband side of like, listen, if you
This
name your
isn't a
kid
great
ever,
name, yes.
like I understand that there's an agreement in place here, right? And it kind of sucks because like he got the first go at it, so now it's like if he doesn't go along with it,
Yeah, mm,
he like it makes him look bad. But I think like listen, rules, the you got to know when to bend the rules a little bit. This is an extreme situation. I feel like if I was like in this sort of agreement, which to be fair is like not a great agreement in the first place, I think it's a little bit, but like it's somewhat reasonable, right? Like you name one, I name one. It
yeah.
feels a
I
little
don't
weird. Like I think parents should collaborate,
a little more, yeah. You don't say.
but like who cares, right? It's a name. It shouldn't matter unless its
Yeah,
name is
it doesn't matter
so,
that much, I wouldn't say.
it doesn't matter that much until you name her Ever Rain. And then I gotta stop and be like, okay, we gotta work on the terms and agreements here. You can't pick a name that's really stupid.
Name isn't. I mean, this name is not standard, but I wouldn't call it stupid. It's
You don't you think if you
okay.
met like someone whose name is Everwinter Rain, you would be fine with it personally?
Here's my impression. Yeah, I would be fine with it because I've heard worse names. I mean,
No, no.
so
Calvin Heath, better watch out.
Calvin Heath is okay, but it's also just the whitest thing I've ever heard. So my impression of this is that this is not the actual name that is being given to anyone. Like, I'm sure someone is, but no one's complaining about it. Like,
I
it's
mean,
probably
you'd
more
be
culturally
surprised in
okay.
the comments of this very post. There were at least two people who mentioned having people named Ever in their life.
Yeah,
Apparently,
no, it's
Ever
like
is like a real name.
I'm not saying. Yeah, again, I'm not saying this is never real, but I do think what I'm feeling here is that like the person who's writing this post is writing it because they want they're feeling like they feel bad for disagreeing
They're
with
in
the
an
name.
argument with their wife and they're annoyed, and so they want to place the vet, right?
They're playing it a little worse because I don't think anyone like any no mother's gonna name their daughter first name's not gonna be ever the first word.
All
So
right, I literally just mentioned that there are people in the comments
well,
of
yeah,
this.
again, I'm just saying whoever wrote this post. I mean, whether or not it's all made up, if it's not entirely made up, then the parts that are real
Dude,
are slightly
you're getting too
exaggerated.
hung up on the made up thing. Who cares if it's made up, right? It's
I
you
do,
can
yes, I care a decent bit.
just like
It,
have a little fun. Like the
no,
fun of these things is to like judge people for their terrible decisions. It's not to
no,
be like, "Oh, is this real or not?"
I saw this really atrocious post at
Yeah.
one point. I was like, uh, it was obviously a joke, written on Twitter that was like, I told my daughter that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and she did the Wakanda salute and said, Ruth Kanda forever. And
Mm.
people who I respect, people whose opinions that who I've been talking to for years, went, well, this is probably not real, but the fact that you can think this is real really says something, doesn't it? I'm like, no, nobody would think this is real. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and it's
Yeah, I
obviously
mean like
a
that
joke.
sounds like something of a joke for sure, but
This is
like
what happens when people have saturated the internet with just fake stuff. I mean, people will believe these, and I'm just like, you know, reality is sometimes stranger than fiction. That's true, but people are not on the internet writing stuff just trying to be truthful inherently. Like their goal is to entertain more than be
I'm not denying that
honest.
there's not a possibility that it's like fake. But
I
it's
would say
like
it's
I
more
can
than just a
totally
goal.
see this situation comes up and hey, listen, if I had a wife and we were naming our kid and she was like I want to name it Ever, I'd be like hold up, what the fuck? I'd
I mean,
have
in the
the
first place, I wouldn't
same.
get married to someone who would value just random
That's
word
true.
naming.
I would hope anyone I marry would have like a some better judgment than this wife. But like hey, she's probably's got strengths in other areas, I would assume.
If their naming sense was that bad, then sure they would have to make up for it some other way.
So are
Um,
you strong on this n- uh he's the asshole sentiment?
I would generally say he's the asshole. Yes, I have caveats, but I'm just I'm
Like I get that he had an agreement, but like Come on.
No, it's not about the agreement. I mean, obviously, like, if you're fucking married, you should be able to fucking communicate a little bit. Both of these people are assholes, I would say, actually.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Okay.
yeah, I mean, what,
Damn.
if you
I
should be
can't
aware
believe
that
it.
you're what you. Oh wow,
I am
this
so
situation is
strongly that this guy's not the asshole. I'm like shocked that other opinions exist on the internet.
I mean, listen, I would say that if you're judging only whether or not this guy is the asshole, then you're already like compartmentalizing like so much.
Oh,
Like, come
really?
on,
Okay, what am I missing out on?
these people are in a commitment. They're married. They have two kids. They should be able to communicate better than just. I want to name him one thing, and any other suggestion is wrong. Like, come on, are you really in a committed relationship or?
The I named the first one, you named the second one. I'll admit is like a this is a little hindsighty though, isn't it? Like I would say it's a little weird, but at the same time, like if I had trust in my partner that to not name her like something ridiculous, I can totally see going down this path.
I'm just of the opinion that names aren't that important. Like you can change
Oh,
them
for
pretty
sure,
easily.
right? Like she can just be like, "Oh yeah, we call her Emma," right?
I mean, yeah, nicknames are pretty common.
But then like anytime she's like trying to like get a job, it's like, "Oh, hi, my name is Everwinter Rain.
A
Please call
job,
me
your
Emma."
name is not going to be the thing that affects your job app. Again, I'm
Like
telling you
like
that
I'll tell you, like I have like
weirder
people at
names.
work who have like nicknames. And it's like it's fine.
I mean, if you were hiring someone, would you really judge them for having a potentially slightly odder name? Like in an actual situation that's not fictional. Like maybe there's a Native American, or I've seen African American folk who have
I think
like
if it looked like a
just
real name,
down
I
names.
would. I wouldn't.
Like,
But if it like looked like some nonsense, then like yeah, I like listen, we all
you would
know to
judge them
fight.
by their
You should
parents'
you
decisions.
should fight against your bias whenever possible. I think this is a thing that is universally acknowledged, right?
Yeah,
Bias is just one of these things that creeps in, and you need to
be
work and
self-aware.
see,
Yes.
is it smart, is it working for you, is it working against you? And this is a situation where it would be like unfair bias, I would say, but it would
Yeah. Well,
still be there. I would still like have a little bit of hesitancy in this sort of situation
I
personally.
mean, I would just call you a bad hirer then. I would never
That might be the case. All right, let's move on to the second one. I'll read it out for us again. This is a long one, so give me a second.
Yeah, sure. I'm dying.
Am I the asshole for getting angry at my sister, who said she had no money to buy a gift for our mom's birthday, but then took her girlfriend to dinner at an expensive restaurant? My mother
Initial
told.
impression, yes.
Oh god, we're gonna get all the.
No, I
Oh.
just thought it would be fun to get like, okay, here's the
No,
fucking
like
on-point
I'm totally
comedy.
with you that I like. I often make my impression like at the title.
I mean, to be fair, I'm sure like half the time, a lot of the time when I see "Am I the asshole?" posts, the title is usually like a clickbaity thing.
Yeah.
It's like, "I shot my mother. Am I the asshole?" And then you read in, it's like, "I shot her with the vaccine." Like, okay,
Just
whatever.
like gotcha.
Yeah, no, they do that like
I think
fairly often.
this might be that kind of situation, honestly.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see.
My mother celebrated her birthday last weekend, 2 weeks before I, 26F, asked my sister, 23F, what gift we were going to buy our mom. She said she didn't have any. She said money was tight and she didn't have money to pitch in for a gift. My sister doesn't earn as much as I do, so I told her that it was fine. I was gonna buy a $500 necklace, and I could shoulder the full price. Her contribution would be that she would be the one to buy it from the store. I transferred the money, she bought it, I put my sister's name on the from portion, and we had a nice birthday dinner. So right off the bat,
Mhm.
not looking great for the sister.
I mean, it just looks like theft. I mean, give me 500 bucks for my mom's gift, and I mean, if she just takes it
I
and leaves,
I'll buy the gift and you put your name on the card.
I mean, listen, I've done similar,
Oh yeah, like I will
not with
say
price
for
gift,
like
but
unlike since we're brothers, right?
yeah,
We've
whatever.
done this exact situation 1,000 times for sure.
Yeah, just put our names on
But it
things.
was never
Anyway,
a $500 necklace. It was like,
yeah,
you
no,
know,
it's a just a goddamn card because
a
that's all we
card
care
and some
about.
flour. Yeah, our parents are not well, I don't know. Would you say our mom is
Sentimental, yes,
wanting of this
yes, they're very
sentimental?
They're emotive people, yes, and they would like probably
She would probably
appreciate it.
love it if we got her a $500 necklace. But
I mean,
also,
you
she's
have
a
an income
religious
now.
person, and so she would be like, "Oh, don't waste money."
Yeah, there's several contradicting identities within our parents that make them very difficult to deal with, and
But
we
anyways, yeah. So like
don't
like I can say I've been in this exact situation before.
types of this situation.
Yeah. Today I saw on my social media feed that my sister's girlfriend posted a picture of the two of them having a dinner at an expensive restaurant where a meal for two would have been upwards of $200.
Only 200. God, spoiled girlfriend.
My sister's only 200. My sister's girlfriend caption was thanking my sister for the best anniversary dinner. I got upset and called my sister and asked her why she told me she didn't have any money for a gift for my mom. But apparently she had money on a dinner for her girlfriend at an expensive restaurant. She got defensive and said I was okay paying for my mom's gift all by myself. So why was I angry that she and her girlfriend had an expensive dinner? I told her it wasn't about them having an expensive dinner, but it's about the fact that one, she lied about not having money, and two, she wasn't willing to contribute a single dollar for the gift for my mom, while she spent literally hundreds of dollars for dinner with her girlfriend. My sister said she didn't lie to me. She had no money for my mom's gift because she had already allocated the money to dinner with her girlfriend. She doesn't know why she even has to explain herself when I have no right to tell her how to spend her money. My point is, she did have money. She could have given me like $20 and had dinner with her girlfriend, but she didn't want to spend anything for the woman who gave birth and raised us. Low blow at the end.
Yeah, no, that's a. I mean, honestly, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I stand by my clickbait title decision. You know, you kind of dick. You can lay off.
Yeah, okay. I'm like 60-40 in that direction as well, to be honest. Uh for me, I think like the thing that really like breaks it is that like it doesn't seem like, so like you read the first paragraph, right?
Uh
I like I bought the gift, right? And it seems
huh.
like she normally contributes more money just from like the edits that are down here. Like she
Sticker.
talks,
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That
it
was a deep
seems
door.
like she like normally this sister, the one who is making the post. And like listen, whenever you make the posts, you have control of the narrative and you're going to have like a little bit of, it's going to be a little bit
Buying
easier to
a
make your
$500 necklace. Yeah, right. I'm sure that totally happened.
uh, I totally believe it. But anyways,
Yeah, I'm not saying again. It's not that it's not possible. It's just,
but like I think this is like a sort of situation where like okay, the sister said money is tight for her. She spent $200 on a dinner, and imagine you're in a situation where you're like, oh, I'm planning to have this really nice dinner for me and my significant other's anniversary, right?
evidently, yeah, because she does say it's an anniversary dinner, so she probably had plans.
Yeah, so like I assume she like knows the mom's birthday is coming up and the dinner's coming up. They're like in the same like week
Mhm.
or within a week of each other. You have money set aside for the dinner. Your sister comes to you. She's like, "Hey, I'm planning to buy a $500 necklace." You got nowhere near that amount of money. You're barely making the $200 dinner come through, right?
I mean, apparently from the edits, she didn't even know it was like a $500 necklace. She just didn't want to buy anything, which is entirely her prerogative. She's allowed.
Let me read the edits. Just to be clear, this recurring misunderstanding in the comments. I did not ask my sister to shoulder half the cost of the necklace. She told me she didn't have money to pitch in for a gift, even before I told her what I was planning to get.
Which does read like a lie, and I'm kind of like, yeah, okay. If she's lying
Yeah,
about
dude,
it,
you
she
need to
doesn't
get
want to
out
pay
of
for
this
it.
mindset of everyone's lying here. Okay,
Oh no, no,
you gotta
no.
take it at face value. What are you getting out of
This is
calling
from
it
the
a
perspective of
lie?
the poster. The poster says that the sister is lying, which it might be true, might not be true. And in any case, I would say if she's lying because she doesn't want to pay for something,
Okay,
that's within
okay.
her right.
You know what? I apologize. I jumped to conclusions on that one. You are absolutely right that I think the sister did not lie to the poster. I think the
Yeah,
sister said she didn't have money because she didn't have money, right?
yeah.
It's like and the poster here, it's kind of interesting cuz like you can see the color at the top says not the asshole, but I think we're both in agreement. You're kind of the asshole.
I mean, yeah, I don't see I don't think having an anniversary dinner is a crime. And I also don't think that ignoring your mother is a crime, but
Not the
that's
asshole. From now on, just get your mom a gift yourself if your sister can't afford to. That's on her.
I wouldn't read the comments, but why not? What are these? Yeah, yeah. I mean, eh,
The
these are
clarification.
some really. I think you're.
Okay, it's like she. The second part is what makes her the asshole. It's like the first part is like totally normal, right? And then it's like you blew up at your sister because you made assumptions and you were like, "Oh, you don't want to give anything to the woman who gave
There is
birth
some
to
love
you."
there.
It's like, listen, most moms, I can't pretend to like know this person's situation, but
Uh,
I would imagine your mom probably cares more about just like having dinner with you than like
uh,
any necklace.
$500 necklace, yeah.
And like, yeah, if I like, you couldn't got her like a vase or something for 40. I'm sure your sister would have contributed $20 to a vase or
Or
something.
even if you didn't,
And like reading the first paragraph again, it doesn't really seem like I don't know. I feel like the poster didn't really know what to expect out of her sister. Like it seems like she came in real cold and didn't expect anything. And then when the
uh,
sister like didn't contribute anything, she was like, "Okay, understandable." Right? Like I feel
uh,
like this was like a common arrangement.
mhm.
So yeah, we're on the same page on this one for sure. All right. It's going to be the last one. Only solid 26 minutes into the podcast. Am I the asshole? I'm going to tell you, this is probably a spicy one. I would not be sad if we disagreed on this one. Because I don't even know where I fall on this one, to be honest. Am I the asshole for calling the police on my flatmate kid knocking on my door?
Well,
Disclaimer.
okay. I, I'm pretty sure I've been in this situation, so
Oh no.
they just kids knock on things. They like to do things.
Well,
It's be stupid. It's not that complicated.
I would never blame the kid for that situation for sure. Disclaimer,
Yeah,
not in the
just knocking on my
USA.
door.
English is not my first language. I, female 22, live in a shared house with a landlord and his two sons, and a woman and her daughter. So there's three families in one house. Yesterday, the landlord and his kids were away visiting family, and the other woman has a crazy schedule. I was sleeping in my room when I was woken up when this is just bad grammar. The kid, she woke up to the kid screaming. This like single tenant was woken up by the kid screaming like crazy at about 2 a.m. She figured the mother was not home, so I put on my headphones, but in a few minutes she was banging on my door, still screaming and crying. I panicked, thinking something horrible was going on outside, so I shut myself in my room's bathroom and called the police, and they could hear the screaming on the call, so they came very quickly. Turns out the kid had a nightmare and was scared, and the paramedics had to put some medicine in her to calm her down. Then the police questioned me a lot. If I was the guardian, I had to explain our living situation, if I knew where the mother was, etc. Told them I was not aware the kid was alone because the mother has a crazy schedule and I don't know where she works. I provided her phone number, but they couldn't reach her, so they took the kid to the police station.
Uh-huh. Damn, police
This is
unhelpful. That's never happened before.
this is an exhausting situation. I went back to
Hmm.
sleep and I woke up by the mother banging on my door, screaming at me for what happened yesterday. She said the police won't give her daughter back, and I'm an asshole for calling them for something as silly as a nightmare. I should have just called them to come down instead of making it a huge deal. Told her it's not my responsibility to take care of her daughter. I barely interact with any of them, and I was not going to open my door for someone screaming like that because it could be dangerous. I think it was the right choice to call the police, but I told the situation to my mother, and she either says I should have checked on things, and she
Yeah.
says either way I should have checked on the kid and tried to help because sharing a house also means helping out with this kind of situation, with this kind of things. I'm sorry if like you're listening to me hear it and I just like say things wrong. I'm trying to be fast about it and interpretive about it, but
Uh-huh.
you know,
I would say yeah. You're pretty. You're kind of a dick.
God, when I made the segment up, I thought you would enjoy it, but
I mean, I'm not hating it.
I totally forgot that you love to like make your decisions so quickly and you never ask like additional questions of any kind.
What do you mean I don't ask additional questions? I keep saying there's more caveats to it than just what's being
Yeah,
presented.
but you like throw down your opinion so fast. It's like,
I mean,
God damn.
I've always been decisive. That's what helps me
Listen.
on tests.
I understand that, but like we're on a podcast. I gotta stretch this out a little bit here.
Well, anyway,
All
yeah.
right, go
Anyway,
for it. Go for it.
first of all, calling police is a dick move no matter what. Just don't call police. Police suck ass.
Like never.
The,
If you have reason to believe there's like an axe wielding murderer outside of your room.
if you have reason to believe and you have an axe murder outside of your room, a paramedic is probably going to be more helpful than a policeman because you're probably undergoing a psychosis. Um,
I guess so.
the fact of the matter is the police are not helpful.
All right. Well, they helped in this case.
Oh wait, yeah, they're so helpful taking a kid away from her mother. That's such a nice thing for the police to do.
God, where do you start here? I'm
Well,
gonna.
oh yeah, no, you know what? Maybe a policeman taking a kid from her mother because she had a nightmare and bothered her neighbors was the correct thing for
Well,
the
okay,
police.
okay. Here's the thing: if they were actually neighbors, I would be totally on the tenant's side, the poster's side. Like, if a kid was banging on my door at 2 a.m., I would like probably just ignore it. But like, if they were like really like, it's a kid, and it's a kid right? Like that's got to factor in there somewhere on like the responsibility ladder of like, you know,
Yeah,
even
I
if
would say
it's not
this
your
poster
responsibility per se.
this poster shirked their responsibilities of like recognizing that people exist and that you should probably check on them if something looks like something's going wrong. So just like, well, I don't want to deal with it, so I'm going to call the police, which is a great thing for me to do. And there's no way that calling the police is the
Well,
wrong move
because like she was, I assume she was just scared, right? And I think like
of a child.
of a dangerous situation. Listen,
Of a-
I'm agreeing with you that like
You
she
said you would
shouldn't
not
have
open the door
called.
for a kid screaming at your door. That's kind of terrifying, dude. I mean, it's just a kid. If they're
If
screaming, they need
listen,
help.
if I can like peek out the window and make sure it's just a kid, then like yeah,
And
I
yeah,
would open it, right? But
okay, yeah,
like,
that's fair.
if I was like not listen, when people are scared, they make bad
Bad
decisions all the
decisions,
time.
yes.
This
Which
is
is
like
why I'm kind of like, why are you retroactively like, no, calling the police was the right decision when,
I
evidently
I'm
you only caused
listen, I
harm.
am not saying calling the police. Calling the police I think was the wrong decision. I think it was clearly like a decision that was inspired by a lot of panic, right?
Hmm.
She is living in this house with this girl, right? This is not a situation where someone's like knocking on her door and it's like her apartment. They live in the same house. They probably see each other every day. You should know enough about this kid to not freak out this much. I understand that like being scared is the thing. And then like also like this mother, right? Firstly, like being a single mom who has crazy hours, I assume she's probably like working two jobs. This isn't in America, but that's like a situation that's very common in America, right? That really sucks. So like I just have a hard time assigning blame to anyone in this situation. Like for the single mom who's like dealing with, the struggles of raising a child and also like probably having a tough work situation. That's stressful, dude. That's real
Yeah.
stressful. And then like to the tenant, right? You're scared. It's 2 a.m. and you're not really sure what's going on. I don't think calling the police is like okay, it is almost certainly the wrong decision. But I think like if I was in a similar situation and I was like not thinking straight, I can see myself making that decision, you know? If it was like an apartment. Again, I think the thing that really like screws the poster in this case is just that like this is a kid you should know and this is like a house that you both live in, right? If
Hmm.
you were in different houses, different story. The only reason I guess I'm in the opinion that the poster is an asshole.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but I feel like the behavior on display here is pretty weirdly self-justifying for someone who only caused harm here.
Yeah, like listen, the real loser here, let's be real, is the kid, right? It
The
seems
mother,
like
not the kid. Obviously, is in a tough situation, but it's the mother who's being screwed.
why? Because she can't get her daughter back from the police or
Yeah, yeah, I would say that's a pretty stressful and difficult thing to go through. What do you mean? Oh, like that's not difficult for her.
well, I
Yeah,
mean that to me that was like kind of the result of her actions of like
her
not
actions
being the
of.
best parent. Like
What do you
listen,
mean not being the best parent?
listen, I'm not saying that it's like a fair thing to her, but life's unfair sometimes, and the reality is that your kid is having problems, and as her parent, it's your responsibility to help deal with it. Is it fair to you that a tenant that was also that could have helped just like didn't? Kinda,
Um,
no, but
yeah,
like,
I would say if you have a tenant and what is it? I would say that I'm not expecting fairness for anyone. I don't. That's not the lens through which I see interactions. What I
okay,
do see is this mom has it hard. I
yeah,
wouldn't say she's innocent because obviously, like kids, if you have to leave your kid alone, you probably didn't want to. But also, like that's
yeah,
not that's still a That's still your responsibility. Yes, I would say the
100% with you on
tenant. I
that.
would say the tenant calling the police is without like checking or anything is silly. Like
Yeah,
banging on if a child is banging on your door and you don't have the decency to check if they're goddamn being kidnapped or
just
something,
like, hey, what's up? What's happening?
yeah,
It's like,
communicate for the love of God. Like I am pretty antisocial. If a kid is banging literally on my, I did hint that this sort of thing has happened to me. A kid was banging on someone else's door
and
from
like
the
you went to
inside. So
check
it's
on
like,
them, right? I
yeah, I
like
know, I did. I was like,
I
well,
am totally with you that like that's the right thing to do. To me,
yeah,
it's
no,
just like both of the adults in this situation failed, right?
yeah.
And
Generally, I would say a lot of these kind of feel like a lot of people are saying no one's the asshole, and I'm kind of like, you both have fault here. There's responsibility that was
yeah, the
on
post is like
people.
everyone sucks is the
Yeah,
tag.
it turns out people are pretty flawed, and I'm not saying that like people should be perfect, but I'm also like the way that people are trying to like absolve themselves of their own responsibilities is so silly. Like, come on, you fucked
I
up.
just have a hard time assigning blame to everyone. Like it feels like everyone has their luck down bad.
I
But
think if you
for the sake of this kid, someone needs to get their shit together. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, obviously, I would say that if you're resistant to assigning blame, that's kind of emblematic of like the worry that blame is the worst part of this. I would say if you fail to meet your responsibilities, that is something that needs to be addressed. And being shy about assigning blame is it's like
Well,
is
the reason I'm like shy about assigning blame is purely because like I can totally see the
yourself.
situation, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's really stressful on the mother, it's really stressful on the tenant. Like obviously the tenant is like more in the wrong here, but I wouldn't say she's an asshole. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I think what I can see this happening, and then like the person making the post is probably just really upset because they're being yelled at for something,
Yeah,
and it's
and
just
they're
like
like venting to an extent. That's a
yeah,
lot of this subreddit to be fair.
I'm sure.
It sounds like we're like low key on the same side.
I mean, what do you think? But my only worry is that like you have some far like super like ignorant logic that prevents you from seeing the entire perspective, and you seem to be on the level, so I don't see why you wouldn't be in agreement either. That like if this were real, then it's an issue for quite everyone involved.
I think if this were like real, like I would be scared for sure, but I would like open the door for sure, you know? And like, hey, if
Yeah.
you get murdered, Hopefully God's God's real. Anyways,
Anyway,
yeah. That's r/slash am I the asshole. If you want to like see these posts for yourself, all of them are in the description.
episode
Uh
5, not anime stuff. Anyway, do you want to do a little short on what you've seen this last 2 weeks as I initiated last time?
uh I'll be real with you. I haven't really watched any anime this week. I've been playing a lot of
We've been off for
Genshin and a lot of chess.
2 weeks, haven't we?
Oh yeah, 2 weeks.
So anything in the last 2 weeks that, or I mean, we've seen a lot of things. Do you just want to talk about a thing you've seen?
Okay, I'll this is kind of a tangent that I was saving for a different episode.
Why not?
My Hero Academia,
Ugh,
the first couple episodes I think are really interesting. A lot of long-term series when they initially start out, they're in a kind of precarious situation because usually your protagonist has a danger of being really
boring.
annoying. And if
Yeah, that.
your protagonist is annoying, then that can like really ruin a show.
You see, I would chalk this up to adaptational pacing issues, where like in a manga, you kind of you'll reach a satisfying point within a few chapters. In an anime, that can be several episodes. So like, I would say the
Before
first
like you get
four,
to a satisfying place.
yeah, before you get a payoff for all this investment you're building up.
All right,
And for My Hero, I would call that 4 episodes. There are like 3 good setup episodes, and then the fourth episode you get the examination
the
where it pays off.
payoff. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, let me get this out because this is kind of like
yeah, no, go ahead.
a
I
lot
was.
of spaced out stuff. In Naruto, the way
Oh, okay.
they
I thought this was a My Hero. I didn't-
it is
Oh, okay.
in Naruto, the way they handle this is Naruto has a sort of mini arc at the beginning, right? And a lot of shows will do this where they pose like an initial problem and then they have the rest of the series, right? So you have like almost a hook type problem, right? And the hook for Naruto is that Naruto's lonely and he acts out because he needs attention. And the way they solve this is Naruto
Man.
fights for his teacher, right? And like learns that to have a bond with his teacher Iruka, right?
Hmm.
It's a really small self-contained chapter, and what it does is it introduces you to Naruto, his values, his problems, and I think it does a really good job of setting up the show for success. Now, in contrast to that, I think Deku has like a similar issue of he has this great want to be part of hero society, but he doesn't know how. He's not sure how. And watching the show, you go through his character, his wants, his beliefs, and you see why someone should root for him, right?
Hmm.
The reason this has been on my mind is because I'm trying to think like, is Naruto's setup chapter better than Deku's?
Yes, undeniably.
I don't know if I agree with that. So my issue is because in the initial chapters of Naruto, for any story, the initial chapters are a hook, right? They're supposed to get your audience invested, but they also have to sort of set up the tone for the story. And I think Naruto makes the tone of the story like almost like a hero's journey kind of deal of like Naruto is this rookie underdog, he's terrible at classes, everyone hates him and he's going to rise up and become Hokage, right? And there's this like grand adventure tale that feels like it's coming up, and I feel like that line gets kind of abandoned. Like the whole loneliness angle, no one really like shit talks Naruto. They're like, "Ah, his ninjutsu technique sucks," right? But that's like a criticism of his technique. That's not like bullying, right? So to me, like, while Naruto might have like the more enjoyable for me personally, I found Naruto's like setup chapter to be much more enjoyable, and I think it
Yeah.
introduced me to the character of Naruto much better. I think it does a bad job setting a tone for the series, and I think it introduces problems that go nowhere, and don't end up being a significant factor in the series. As
I
opposed
don't
to
think
that,
that's wrong.
as
I would
opposed,
say that's
okay,
fair enough. Go ahead.
as opposed to that, Deku, his sit-up chapter, it feels like he struggles with that throughout the show, this like being a hero thing. He continues to be like kind of nerdy. He asks people about their powers all the time, but he's still kind of meek. He's always like working through like some level of insecurity. And I've heard people say Deku is really annoying because of this, but I find it like the only logical way to write him, right? The way he was set up,
Sure.
like I think like it does a good job carrying through this theme of like he is going to be a hero somehow. He's not entirely sure how, but he's working it out, and that's like the whole show is just taking this idea and dragging it forward, and I think it creates a much more cohesive vision. But there are trade-offs in these things, and I think if you were to compare Naruto to Deku, like I would probably lean towards the former. I think Naruto has like is just like a strong show,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know. Just like looking at their setup chapters, I think there's like
Something to
some level of trade off going on.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say that it's fair enough to say that Naruto, not everything that's in the prologue ends up being important, but I'm also kind of like, My Hero kind of retcons its premise quite a bit at several points, and then honestly, more recently, it's kind of ridiculous. The things that they've sort of changed are so.
I'll admit that I haven't kept up after
Yeah,
the
and that's,
battle between the class 1A 1B thing. I don't know what
I would
goes on
say
after that.
I would say anyone who is watching the anime currently might feel like, hey, I don't know if I'm quite onto up with everything that's going on, and that would be because the current arc it sucks so much ass. It's
Well,
terrible.
how do you feel about just like compare
The villain arc
give me your feelings on the opening of My Hero Academia. What do you think of those initial episodes?
of the episodes, I would say the pacing it just kind of suffers as almost all shonen pacing does. Where the first couple are gonna usually be a bit rough. I would say My Hero weathers that pretty well
How
because
do you feel about the writing of Deku and All Might and like that really emotional conclusion of, you too can be a hero,
uh,
and these sorts of things that go into crafting a narrative
it's fine.
and a tone and these things?
I would say the thing that kind of irks me about it is more that I just feel like the premise was retconned like several times over because so much of the manga is just like Horikoshi wanting to. Wait, it's not Horikoshi, is it? Is yeah, no, it is.
No, it
So
is.
so much of the manga is just Horikoshi wanting to write darker and darker stuff, and the plot getting edgier and edgier to the point where they retcon earlier stuff like All Might was never that important. Actually, I was murdering heroes in the backgrounds, and I felt bad about it.
All right. We don't need spoilers here.
I mean, I think you should stop watching My Hero around where the anime is at. Definitely, where season 5, you should have stopped at this point because it's just not good.
How do you feel? Okay, I have two different questions. One is this retcon thing. What do you think was retcon? What was the theme that they were going on that they walked back on? Other
Wait,
like
so
obviously there are certain facts that it sounds
might
like were adjusted over time.
All
But in
Might being the what is it? Being not quirkless was something that was definitely added at some point. Starting out quirkless.
oh, okay, I listen, I'm with you that like I think the show would have been way more interesting if like Deku was always quirkless.
Uh-huh.
That definitely feels like a bait on like the summaries part that like oh Deku's a quirkless kid and he's being bullied because of it. But like I don't think the show is worth like this is something that I also really struggled with. Like I think it's so sad that we didn't get to see quirkless Deku. But I think
Crying
if you make
my
him
superhero
quirkless,
without because
I think he's always going to be a bit of a liability with if he was actually like a
see,
quirkless hero.
this is sort of the thing that a lot of kind of it's oddly common for popular media to run into like having kind of milk toast politics, and My Hero is pretty liberal with like cops are good and necessary, and superheroes who are cops can like I think vigilante sort of is the more representative of the poor considerations into the world building. Um, where essentially like heroes are like, well, vigilantes can do whatever they want if they're doing good, and I'm like, it's just a common issue for superheroes that crops up, where vigilantes do vigilanteism is sort of it's glorified a lot in fiction,
In a lot of fiction for sure.
and it's just like
Cause like,
uh,
it's like take it in your own hands, be the change you want to see. That's always like a really powerful message, isn't it?
and, My Hero is sort of it does good with emphasizing, oh, everything is regulated, everyone needs to be qualified and licensed in hero work, and
And
for
you
the
can
most
totally
part
see how like a realistic society would build around that.
it tries, and it just it's I would just say
You're not a fan of the world building is what I'm hearing.
no, I would like it if it were consistent.
Okay. So that was my first question. My second question was when you're watching a show, how much does the initial episodes affect your impression of the show? And
Oh,
what are you
very
usually looking
much.
for in an initial episode?
Not wasting my goddamn time, Black Clover ass. 9 episodes of suffering and then the most generic goddamn conflict ever. Like, God. Why did I watch that anyway?
Have you noticed this thing that I'm talking about, by the way, this like initial setup chapter that a lot of shows I feel have?
Yeah, didn't I just mention
Black
it's usually
Clover.
a pacing issue.
You think it's a pacing issue to have these like
Usually, it's a pacing in adaptation because when you're adapting something, there's always choices to be made,
I feel like
and
we're talking
usually
about two different things.
no, you're right. I'm kind of trying to be meta about it, where I'm trying to say that like I'm trying to make the reason of for why you're experiencing this. I'm trying to apply a reason to it, and
Okay.
obviously
Go
if
for
you're
it. Go for it.
for that.
Hey,
So
if
I'm just
you
saying in
I got one
adaptation,
I got my tangent, you go on yours.
I, in adaptation there are choices being made usually for and for manga that are becoming anime, that choice is to go over literal and just adapt the content like one for one. Try to amass try to make up for so like basically just you would just make just directly like almost even panel for panel like recreate the manga in the anime. What this ends up doing is usually make the anime pretty slow paced because like as it turns out visual media
It
having
just you interpret visual media a lot faster, and also just like one chapter doesn't always translate cleanly. Like there are some scenes that need more emphasis, and obviously budget is also a concern. So
oh yeah, I mean there's a
getting the
million and one
storyboard
reasons.
on this can be really difficult sometimes, for sure.
Excuse yeah, I'd say there's plenty of reasons why they have choices that need to be made, but I just feel like shonen in particular, like there's always going to be that because in adaptation they're usually pretty literal with it. So the
Hmm.
first chapters translate to like several episodes. I mean,
Yeah, just because
reading
there's
through
like so
chapters
much
is not
going on, you
hard.
think?
Reading through chapters is not hard.
Hmm.
And then when you try to translate that to anime, what you get is you're just panning over the same visual while a character talks at length because, several sentences don't feel bad when you're reading them. It feels terrible when you're watching someone talk. It's the difference in medium is just basically the entire thing. I would say the issue with shonen because
Hmm.
the adaptations
How
tend to be
did you
so literal.
feel? I don't know if you remember it very well. Do you remember Full Metal Alchemist's opening?
Well, that's a whole fucking deal because there's
Like
two of them.
that is a very
Which
strong.
one are you talking about?
They both open the same, don't they?
No,
No. Which
no,
one opens
2003
on
has
the brothers trying to revive their mom?
no, it doesn't. Brotherhood starts at like Brotherhood starts with a filler episode that kind of just establishes the brothers what they're doing well after like I think it's post military exam.
Okay.
So 2003 starts as you would.
I'll have to keep my eyes out for this then, because like I think it's always like the start of something is always really important, right? And
Oh yeah, which is why
I
I remember.
enjoy the writing concept in general. This idea of like a self-contained introductory story that
Uh-huh.
introduces you to the world. I think like that's a good idea. Like I like how it was used in Naruto. I like how it was used in My Hero Academia, even if it was like weaker in some aspects, right? So like just like I think it was I'm just like not
There,
sure
there are obviously
if you
valuable
could
comparisons to
imply
be made. Yes.
if you could use it for every show.
Uh-huh.
Like obviously not. I'm
Uh,
I'm
yeah,
just trying
I
to think
would
of like
say
what other shows do it, and I think I can't
what
think
you're
of
thinking
any
of is definitely,
because
yeah, shonen, very shonen.
yeah, for sure. Like the reason I can't think of any other ones is because I mostly watch Slice of Life and like stuff like Dragon Maid and things like
Ugh.
that.
If you want to have fun watching these, have an ugh counter for whenever Nujum
Hmm.
brings up a thing, and I'm just like,
Yeah, yeah, take a shot.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll say that's enough for an episode.
Yeah, sure. Wait, no, I didn't bring up the thing I wanted to talk about. God
Oh,
damn it!
I'm so sorry.
Okay, it's like it's
I was
2 minutes.
working through my own thoughts. That's my
I
bad.
watched I watched Squid Game, and it's basically just a goddamn regular ass death game anime, but it's live action.
Squid
That's
Game.
it.
Is it like on Netflix or?
Oh, yeah, no, it's not. It's a Korean Netflix show that it is. You've seen a Death Game anime, haven't you? By now, just
Uh,
super edgy stuff, and it's like let's play. I mean, it's it's probably derivative of
I've
Sods.
like gotten glimpse of it through meme media, but I can't say I've ever like intentionally watched one.
I would not say it's super worth looking for, but
It's
there are
just
some
like,
manga.
listen, I know what I like.
There's I,
It's not for me.
uh,
I listen. Hey, if you want to watch one of these, like, is
I'm not
Assassination
saying they're good.
Classroom one
I
of them?
don't want to volunteer, but I've seen enough of them. I'm just saying, Squid Game is very popular right now. It's basically just a goddamn death game anime, even though it's live action, which is why people are all about it. It's like,
Maybe maybe that could be a future episode then.
it's a fun watch, but I would
Some
not call
death
it.
ball anime.
Sure.
I assume this is like in the vein of Dragonropa and like murder mystery type
Oh yeah,
stuff.
totally. Danganronpa is definitely
Oh,
uh,
sorry, Dongan.
has
Yeah, my bad.
has elements of death game. I mean, yeah, it is a death game, but also I kind of didn't want Danganronpa to be a death game because it's more interesting as like a survivalist thing. Whatever.
Mm.
You have to have the crazy bear murdering kids, playing games with rules instead of just being an interesting thing. But,
You don't find
I
that
have
interesting?
Danganronpa opinions. Okay.
Well, you know what? If we ever watch does Danganronpa have an anime?
No, it does have an anime. You shouldn't watch it. No, the games are. I
All
have
right.
not watched the Danganronpa anime. I'm not that passionate about my Danganronpa takes. People who are passionate about Danganronpa generally say don't watch the anime. I don't feel like that's. I don't feel like you should necessarily hold to that as much because I mean there are not that many Danganronpa playthroughs around. So if you want to know what Danganronpa is about, watching the anime is not a bad choice. That said, ProZD I think right now is doing a Danganronpa 2 playthrough and
Ooh.
has a Danganronpa 1. I would say if you want to experience the games, you probably want to watch those playthroughs. I have
Hmm.
not watched the second playthrough, but I mean ProZD is obviously passionate about it, so I'm sure his playthroughs will be a not bad way to experience those games. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really comment on Let's
Danganronpa.
Plays these days or Danganronpa, so I can't
Bango,
tell.
bango.
But hey, it sounds interesting, right?
No, it is
It's certainly a setup for a
it's
lot of
probably the
angst and
most popular
drama.
death game media. Yeah, I would say because most of them do not do it well.
All right, cool. I'm gonna say that's it
That's
from
the up.
us.
Yep.
Uh, the,
Take away.
I'm trying to think if
Um,
like do you want
closing
to
note.
include a link to ZD's Let's Play?
Why not? I don't care. I'm not.
I'll also include a link to there's a YouTuber named Northern Lion who I stole the Reddit idea from. So I'll go ahead and post one of his episodes in there. I think he's really fun to watch.
What a unique idea to go over. Am I the asshole posts?
Dude, it's like unexplored content. I feel like these are like gold mines for like a good if you're like a smart YouTuber who's got like a little bit of social awareness about him. I feel like you can make
Uh-huh.
like a some really good not takes but like advice corners out of these.
As someone who, as like a teenager, watched all of Off Topic, the goddamn Rooster Teeth relationship column,
Oh
I would
no.
say I'm tired of this kind of content. But why not?
I feel
I
like
don't
you
mind.
made a mistake by going to Rooster Teeth for life advice.
This is a terrible content. Anyway, join
Anyways,
us next week when we go over our relationship. Probably, I'm sure he wants to.
oh dude, that'd be fun. I'll pull up all of our pics when we were kids, post
Well,
them.
okay. More seriously, watch Sarah Zed's video essay on our relationships and am I the asshole because she kind of goes over very succinctly like she has almost like it feels very researched how where a lot of these come from very few people often misogynists and conservatives who want to make fun of minority groups and they're very clearly made up and it's not that
Uh,
hard to find that out because
that's a fucking take and a half.
the
Jesus.
fact of the matter is that these guys Reddit is I wanted to go over this kind of in the
Listen,
middle.
I know I said Reddit. Oh, this
Reddit is
is.
not that anonymous actually like
I am not continuing this. Goodbye.
okay, yeah. Watch Sarah Zed's video. Yeah.
Watch My Hero Academia and Naruto
Don't
and
watch
see if you see what
My
I
Hero after
see
season four
in
ish.
this like sort of initial plot setup thing. I think
Season
it's
four is
really
recessive.
interesting. I'm sure if you once you start thinking about it, you'll see the sort of hook into initial story setup in a lot of places. Bye.